No, we're live now. Yay. So, welcome everyone to the final and last episode of our body awe exploration. And I have Shannon O'Hara on. Hi, Shannon.
Yay, hello.
Yay. And it's been a really cool exploration. Like, we've been everywhere. We've been talking about death and dancing and water. And so this time, I have no idea where we will go. And I've been starting these by just asking actually, for one of your greatest body awe moments.
Body awe. Okay, tell me what a body awe moment is first.
Well, actually, and what is awe? It's a great question, like body awe. Well, for me, a body awe moment is when your body kind of makes you go, wow. I had no idea either that, you could do that or that you could tell me
Oh,
that or like that, when
wow.
it just goes like, wow.
Yeah, that oh, the biggest. Wow. I would say like it has to be when I finally realized what was going on with my body was that it was joyful. Like I even didn't identify that my body was joyful for a long time because it was like so nothing that anybody ever talked about or acknowledged. It was like nothing. It was like but I started noticing that like one day I just finally got it. I was like, oh, this feeling is that my body's happy. And that was this. I didn't even realize that bodies could be happy. Now that I say it, it feels very stupid, but it wasn't like something that I had as a reference point. So I couldn't even identify when it was occurring. But eventually I was like, oh, this is my body being happy. And of course I could also tell when my body was unhappy. But
Mm.
then I started to identify its joy signs and signals a lot more. Like I really acknowledged it. Like for example, when I put on an article of clothing that my body like really liked, it would start dancing or like moving. And I was like, oh, I think that's my body telling me it's happy and it likes this. So including the body joy stuff was like massive that I didn't even realize. Like it was just nothing that ever mattered or that I included as a relevance to having and being with my body.
It's so funny because when I was, looking at awe and you and bodies before this live, and one of the things that popped up was I get so inspired and actually have such awe for you for the way you truly enjoy and honor your body. And you do it with like
Hmm.
movement and sex and food, but you really your body is very much part of how you plan your life, like how you be in life. It's not you and the body, it's like you and the body
Yeah,
together.
right. A lot of my life is tailored towards what will make my body happy. That's true. Is that different than
Yeah, I think most people, a lot of people, the body is still, the thing that kind of
hmm.
your vehicle to bring your brain or your thoughts
Mm,
or your mind around. And there will be moments
mm,
when they do something for the body, but they're like, it's more like a
mm.
separate thing. Well, for me, I have the sense that you have like, how we meet people who really enjoy their bodies and then we enjoy their bodies too and we want to be close to them and like that there's like such a in
Well,
between.
thank you very much.
And that I said that for me, you have that. You always seem to enjoy your body, except when you don't, which is so
Right, right, right. Well, yeah, enjoyment of the body. I guess that I don't know why you would. I don't. I mean, to me, having the like fun with my body is like primo. That's like the whole point of being alive. It's
yeah.
because I have a body. So having fun with it is. But it took me a long time to figure out what was for fun for my body. Like I mean, we all know, you know, how many things have we tried that we were like, oh, that didn't work. But even sometimes we keep doing it and our body like screaming at us that it's not working and we still keep doing it. But the exploration for like what makes my body feel best has been like a real priority. And that has had to touch then every area of what bodies do, like move and eat and copulate and wear clothes, which is stuff that like we're just never like when do you like hear a diet class where they're like, how does your body feel after you eat this,
Yeah.
or when you go shopping, like is it about like what makes your body sing with joy, or is it more about like what makes you look right or not look wrong, or so it's yeah.
Well, there's two. So one thing is it's like you value there's a value, like you say,
Mm,
that's why I'm here, to enjoy my body. Like there's a
mm,
value to that. I'm just wondering, we're never taught that the body really is something you
right.
want to keep it alive, but you want to keep it alive so you're alive. Strangely, like they're two.
I don't even know why, if people really think about why they want to live. I think they
That's
just,
true.
I mean, there's that whole guilt. I mean, isn't it funny how there's that whole guilt thing about how suicide is like a mortal sin. Like you're not allowed to kill yourself, but you're not really allowed to enjoy your body either. Otherwise, you're a sinner. You're a sinner this way and this way,
Yeah.
you know?
That and I wonder though, because that whole your enjoyment of your body, it's nearly like that's um the way that I've been brought up, somehow that's like self-centered or something. Like somehow, like how can the body be that, how can your body be that important? How can it be allowed to actually be a one of the main things that you're exploring in your
Well,
life?
I wonder if partly what you're indicating about, you know, that it's self-centered or it's not appropriate, essentially, to
Right.
allow your body to be, a priority, is also a aversion to the power of a body.
Tell me
We
more.
can call it shame, we can call
Yeah.
it self-centered, we can call it,
Yeah.
gas, we can call it all sorts of stuff, but really ultimately isn't it just we don't want to have the power that bodies are?
Yes. Yes.
I
Hmm.
grew up in a very interesting time in a very specific place, which is Southern California in, like obviously I was a really little kid in the 80s, but then in like the 90s and the early 2000s when like health food and like yoga was like, and Pilates was like exploding. Like of all the places in the world, like Southern California or California was this very innovative, like any kind of like movement and like health and like body awareness and body consciousness thing, concept, exercise, food you could think of, it was happening there. So I was sort of exposed to this very like body positive, but also, I mean, it wasn't all body positive, but it was, like surfing and being outside in the sun and like going to yoga every day and bike riding. Like that's where that was like where I came from. So it was like appropriate to like be into your body. Of course, there was a lot of insanity around that. It wasn't like, a judgment free, totally joy environment. It was full of force and judgment of bodies as well. But it gave me like, I found yoga. I remember I found yoga at my local YMCA. The YMCA's, I don't know if they have those around the world, but in America they have them. And it's like, I found this yoga class at my local YMCA when I was like 15, and it was like full of old people, but it was like magic to me. I was like, why has no one ever shown me this? And that was the beginning of like, I remember in the beginning with yoga, it was like, wow, I didn't know my body could feel like this.
Mm.
And I've been seeking that ever since.
I actually, it comes also with this, light and heavy, and how we choose, like what to eat, what to wear, how to, because
Mm.
to be able to choose that for the body, you actually do require to know, like you're saying, to learn what's joyful for the body. What does it feel like? What is that? Because otherwise, those light and heavy will mainly come from like your mind or being or whatever point of view you have. Like, so yeah,
Well, yeah, one of the other like massive body aha moments I've had, I feel like I'm continuously having to be honest, is like how aware my body is of other bodies. Because
mm,
as I just told, like about how when I first found yoga, I was like, wow, I never knew my body could feel like this. I also then went on to like completely destroy my body with yoga because I was duplicating and like buying essentially like into other people's body realities, like in the ways in which they force their bodies to do things. And I really wasn't listening to my body. And it's incredible how much of the pain or the discomfort of that I've ever experienced in my body like isn't mine.
mm,
So that's like a massive aha,
yeah.
especially, and like it's really awe-inspiring like how much information my body's constantly giving me about, like yesterday my foot was really hurting and I was like, oh shit, I hurt my foot, but then I went, wait, what if this isn't wrong? What if my body's not like
Mm,
What if this isn't about something that's wrong with my body? What is this? And like immediately my attention flashed like down the road because I went for a walk yesterday morning and it just flashed to this one house. And I don't know who was living in there, but my body was telling me someone in there had a messed up foot.
right. And did it go away?
Yeah,
That's
completely.
also one of the most awe-inspiring moments for me is when I do ask that question, does belong to someone else, and it just disappears. I'm awe-filled every time still. It's like this so
But it's
magic.
and exactly, and it's like constant because even like when I'm hungry or when I'm sleepy, like or I'm not sleepy or I'm not hungry, it's like always this like, okay, body, is this you or who are
Mm,
you tapping into right now? You know? So it's this constant exercise in embodiment rather than this autopilot of embodiment.
yeah. I find that also with whole countries. Like I will come to different countries and my body will become, different, have different
Right.
is just from there. So
That's so true. Yeah.
so what is it? So you right now you're in the UK. So what's how's your body?
My body thrives here. My body loves it here. But I'm also like a descendant of the British Isles. And so I don't know if that's like this is just because this is like the genealogical path that my body's followed that it's more comfortable here. But the weather works for me, the energy works for me, it's green everywhere, it's easier. The place that's actually the hardest on my body that I've ever been to is Canada. Randomly, who knows
Yeah.
what it is about Canada, but it's every time I go there, my body is in excruciating pain and I'm like, I don't get it. I think it's like maybe like all like the dead Indians and maybe like the dead buffaloes and stuff. Like it's something there like my body is really can't deal with.
Yeah, and it's actually like I have that with Australia. I have no idea what that is, but I have
Mm.
like
The
my
Aboriginals are like,
yep,
curse you out of here.
yeah. And I used to have all kinds of reasons and justifications for that, like the flying time and the change of the time, like everything until I actually started to ask questions and realized it has something to do with the land and me and whatever, like that part of just being willing to go away
Right.
from the normal explanation. So this asking questions, but not going to mm, the most convenient answer of like
Well,
there's something wrong with my foot or this is
what's
because of
really right. And what's really important is what you just stated about the land, because we tend to never take that into, well, you and I do, but most people
yeah,
are never, we're not really taught by people who are connected to their bodies or raised by people that are connected to their bodies, let alone connected to the earth. But the fact is that our bodies are organisms of the earth. Like, fact, this isn't theoretical, this is literal. Your body's made of the same materials of the planet and the cosmos. Without the planet, you have no body. Your body is an organism of the earth and totally experiences the condition of the planet, which, I mean, in this day and age, that's like such an urgent awareness based on, I mean, how much of this, the funky stuff that goes on with our bodies is actually our body giving us information about what's going on in the land. Because right now, we all know the earth is struggling and sort of like, if how then do we, if this is one of the really cool things actually that I've been playing with is rather than getting really depressed and in reaction about what's going on with the planet, I reverse that into, how do I put this, like making like receiving my body more. That's not really what I'm doing. I like all the disruption in the earth, instead of like being subject to it in my body,
yeah,
I start like generating a source of my body being a source of what can transform rather than my body being the source of what's not working and consumption and problem. So it's like if the body isn't a problem, if the body could be a gift, if the body
mhm.
is a gift and the body can gift all sorts of things like pleasure and energy and consciousness and gift to the earth, or the body can do the opposite. It could be a massive source of pain, of erosion, of consuming.
Well, would it also because we have this like the simultaneity of gifting and receiving, and one of the things that I find with my body is that it often, yes, it longs to like, receive, and it as much it longs to gift. Like that actually that simultaneity of gifting and receiving with the earth, you're you're receiving the information, but you're also allowing yourself to gift to the earth with your body at the same time.
Yeah, I oftentimes say that when you judge your body, you're making your body a curse to the earth. And when you receive your body or enjoy your body becomes a gift to the earth.
That's beautiful. I love that. And that, and this whole, like the whole, there's a book about awe where they talk about an awe moment is
Right.
literally a moment kind of where time stops and you become aware of this much greater, bigger space. Like it can be in nature, it's a very common, you get awe moments in nature, or the astronauts get big awe moments when they see Earth from space, and that, but that part you can actually have, if you're willing to, you can have that sense of awe with the earth in your body, like that sense that it's you and the earth somehow
Yeah,
that's creating the
yeah.
awe.
And I think might be kind of frustrating to hear that, because it's like when you're laying there in pain or when there's a sickness or something that's just not changing. It's like then you need to start changing the way you look at what you're experiencing with your body. Um, I have this like weird pain, like not pain, but this like built up energy in my sacrum. And last night I was laying in bed and it was like really intense. And like no matter how I laid, I like couldn't shift it. And I was like, okay, body, what is this? And I know that it's like kind of like blocked or not accessed, not utilized and moved sexual energy.
Hmm.
And I'm like, okay. So I start like playing with the energy and I'm like, okay, so where do I go with this? Like body, like how do I access this? And to be honest, this has been like a lifelong saga for me. This isn't like a mystery I fully comprehend, or I'm gonna have a huge like aha moment to share with everybody. I would love that though. And so it's like I did everything I could do, and it was sort of like weird. I couldn't, and it wouldn't change. And that was the thing. I was like, this is, so finally I was like, okay, well, what can I do? And all that I got was I put this like ball of light in my sacrum, like this warm light, and that started to shift and change the energy. I was like, okay, that's working. So I like relaxed into that more. And it did move stuff. It didn't like completely change the universe, but it was a contribution and it led to other energy. But I had to be very conscious of not controlling it, not going into my mind, not stopping it with my head, because the body awareness and like what the body's capable of, those awe moments of the body, and like they're so beyond logic.
Yeah, you use sometimes you golden light and warm light, when you talk with bodies, like all
Yeah.
also. So could you talk, what is, like, how did that come to you?
Cool question, actually. Thanks for catching that. Well, good question. How'd that come to me? I think probably all sort of a lot of places and spaces. I know my dad used to talk way more about like opalescent white light and golden light, but this was like a really long time ago. But I was sort of oh, well, he taught me. Okay, well, here's one place where that came from. He taught me that to like surround things with white light, because the white light like hides things. So like when I would forget to lock my house, like the door to my house, and I'd be like out in town, I'd be like, shit, I forgot to lock the door. Then I'd put like white light over the door. Or like I lived in Oakland, California for like a year when I was 19, and I had a bike and I like never locked my bike. And that's like, if anybody knows Oakland, it's like not a very safe place. And I never had my bike stolen once because I would just put white light around it. And when I'd be like speeding down the highway, like I'd put white light around the car to like kind of hide it and protect it at the same time. So that's where that came from, like this awareness of how, because, okay, so there is a huge spectrum of light in the world. Like this isn't new age woo woo. This is actually like there's a huge spectrum of light that we don't even see. We see a very small spectrum of light, but then there's all these other lights, and
The
it
golden light.
works. Yeah, it's a huge component of life in a body, and it's just an asset of God. It's really interesting. I when I talk about this, it's really a shame because I have it and it's been such a contribution to me, but I notice that when I go to talk about it, like I feel like I have to prove to people
Mm.
why it's valuable, which really sucks.
Yeah, no, don't do that. I can tell you that after hearing you a few times, I do it a lot. Like I use that
Mm.
golden light and warm light in my body when it
Ah,
requires nurturing.
right.
And I can't explain what that is either. You know, I can use a lot of different energies, and that's one of them that I've started to play with just from, so maybe it's not something you can talk about. Maybe
Yeah,
it's just something that
I
is.
think there are people that do actually talk about it quite eloquently. I'm not one of them, obviously, but when like when you have a sick organ, like putting a particular kind of light there can make I mean, at least that's what I do. Like I had like a vagina situation in my early 20s where I had like problem with my cervix and, well, sexually transmitted disease. And it was like I went to the doctor, and it got to the point where they were like, we're gonna have to cut out half your body. And I was like, excuse me, no. And that's why I like had to try something different. So through like getting more conscious about like, okay, what am I really choosing here? Like, body, what are you telling me? Like my body really told me, like I really had to acknowledge that I was abusing my body with who I was choosing to have sex with. I was like smoking a lot. But ultimately, like the thing was like I hated myself. And like that, I was literally killing my body because I hated myself so much. And I went, and when I saw that, I was like, shit, okay, do I want to make a different choice here? And then I started bit by bit taking actions towards what my body, what actually like nurtured and cared for my body. And like I knew when I was smoking that it was, my
Mm.
body was screaming at me like, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this, I hate this. And then I was like, okay, I think I need to listen to my body more. So it was this thing of cutting out what was the abuse of the body and then starting to introduce things that were nurturing, which was part of it was that using that light, like that white light or golden light, I put it in my cervix. And that began to, like right now, if everyone who's listening to this, it's like, pick a place in your body that's, I guess, like dense. It could be your shoulders, your stomach, your foot, whatever. And then like put white light there or put a golden light there. Try not to control it with your head. Just allow that and notice like what is that, how does your body respond to that golden light? And if you spent 60 seconds to 5 minutes every day, consciously putting light into your body, I wonder what that would create for your body. So it's just like adding more light to the body.
It just relaxed everyone, I think.
Yeah, it totally relaxes me too. And it's
Yeah.
like this easy thing that like we're not, I guess most of us just, there's so many ways to access the body. And there's so little real empowerment and education around that. And even when you do find empowerment or education around that, it can also then be laced with a lot of points of view, like yoga, for example. That was my first like wake up with my body, but then it was just like, then I ran into like all the judgments that people had of their bodies, why they were going to yoga mostly because they judged their body, not because they wanted to like have their body.
And yeah, and then also like the way you're supposed to do things and the way you're not supposed to do things when actually our bodies all are so different and they all do things
Oh yeah,
different ways.
totally. Yeah,
I think
yeah.
it's funny, Eva Doloff put in the thread, she said in Sierra Leone when people meet, they say "Au- Audi body, which means how is the body,
Oh,
which is a
yeah.
very different way of greeting, and I love it because that is like that's such a different
Well, it's
question.
including the body. Yeah, it's including
Yeah,
the body.
it's including the body, which makes the greeting like the whole being, you know, the being in the body. Hello, how are you? Good morning, body. So,
Can I
if
ask you, can I
yeah,
ask you a question? So
yeah,
what inspired you to create this
the body
awe
all.
with the body? Yeah.
Well, so I actually find that my body is my best guide to consciousness.
Hmm.
Like I get more I get more awareness from body or moments, or have lately, than anything else, because I'm noticing so much through my body, and I am noticing continuously those moments of awe. And what I do also notice is that I it's like once they come, I notice them and then I kind of dismiss them. Well, if there's a problem with my body, I will keep it around. That I will continuously think about and wonder about and maybe ask questions. Well, the body or
Right.
moments, like I wanted to nearly like honor them and give them energy and actually allow them to become exponentialized by
Mm.
acknowledging that they exist, and we all seem to have them in all kinds of different areas. So that's also been really interesting, because the conversations, it's kind of like what I'm asking is like, what magic or wonder with your body have you noticed? That's like, but
Yeah.
the essence is that sense that, like you were saying, when you the that your body was happy, like the body, that was one of your biggest awe, because it made you kind of go, oh, wow, that. And those moments are like little spurts of energy forward for me. Like every single
Yeah.
one of them are. So
Hmm.
that's, instead of having a series that were focused on issues or even tools, just having a series that were focused on the wows of our bodies.
Cool.
So that's and there's still so much, like,
Oh yeah.
once you start looking at it, you notice that that's where we get the energy from, are the all moments. And you are correct. Like if you are in pain right now, or if there are something going on with your body, it's not always easy. It isn't always easy to stay in
It's
the
hard. It
question.
would be hard to hear this conversation. You're
Yeah.
like, well, I'm dying of cancer. How the fuck does this apply to me?
Yeah.
But it
Yeah.
does actually apply to you. And I mean, that's a very big topic. And I'm sorry to drag that into
Yeah.
this
The
because
big
we
C.
obviously can't deal with that right now.
We had a conversation about cancer with Saskia, who is one person who's been working a lot with her own cancer. We had her on, I think, 2 times
Aha.
ago
Okay.
about that. And it was really cool, because it is like, she looked at all the different ways. She had looked at this and still is looking at this and still is asking her body questions and still is, kind of like being with her cancer instead of trying to fix the cancer. So I think
Hmm.
there there is a space to talk about this, and there is also a space to acknowledge that sometimes it's like, sometimes pain, when it comes, takes over. It's like we allow it to take over. And one of the things that Wendy was talking about when she was on here and talking about grief and that kind of pain was the willingness to be with it, like you were doing last night when you
Yeah.
were being with what was going on in your body, instead of trying to get away from it through eating, and
One of the things that I've actually found for me and my body is the majority of the pain that my body experiences, um, whether from whatever circumstance, whether it's from overeating or like some anomaly that came out of nowhere, or it's oftentimes a repression and a suppression of orgasmic energy.
Mm, now that is very different. Okay. So what is your, like, it
Well, the
is
funny
suppression
thing,
of orgasmic energy. So what
I
would you suggest
oftentimes
people?
I often think about if people didn't control themselves, like if we were, sorry, that it's not control themselves, but like if there wasn't so much like repression and suppression and like I shouldn't do this, I can't show this, it's not appropriate to be this or do this, that like there'd be people like having sex on the streets and like you'd be having like multiple partners and it would be such a different world. And I don't mean like now just like this disgusting sex heap. I mean, you're actually allowed to follow your body's energy to that bliss because the body like fully can be blissful. And that's I mean, actually, the body has a huge spectrum of bliss and pleasure, and it has a huge spectrum of pain too. But we explore the pain ones so
Yeah.
much, and so seldom explore the bliss spectrum. And I know that, like, when I start going into the bliss or the joy or that, like, that orgasmic energy with my body, there is a lot of, I can't have this much fun with my body that comes up, you know? And that's been this constant journey of like, yes, I will have this, even if I have to, you know, even if it's too much for other people, or even if it's scary for me, or even if, you know, I lose control.
Yeah. I remember when I started to have really good sex, like when it wasn't just bang bang and and I remember that bliss that comes with that. And in my head I was thinking, why would anybody ever do anything else? Like, why wouldn't people just have this kind of sex? That's like, that was incredible to me, because the amount of bliss that can actually come from really having that nurturing, healing, that was so
Yeah.
unexpected. I had no idea that existed before I started to explore a different way of enjoying myself in sex.
So if the bodies were allowed to have, to like, to be that much, to have that much, to, you know, how different would our
Yeah.
world be? You know, there'd be so many less crazy psycho bitch females.
Yes.
There'd be so many more like men who had a real sense of power in themselves, you know. It's a totally different world.
Yeah. I actually, yes. I would love to have that conversation with you on a podcast. So maybe we can just,
How to not be a psycho bitch
how not
through
to be a psycho bitch.
how to not be a psycho bitch through sexual energies.
It's the possibilities of that. I mean, for the world and
Yeah.
everyone.
Yeah. Cool.
Thank you so much for coming on and exploring joy and golden light and orgasms, which
Thank you
is
for having me.
a beautiful way to end this series. I love it.
Cool.
Thank you. Bye,
Thank you,
everyone.
Kat. Bye, everybody.
Bye.